Alex, Gene, and the stolen Star Trek art. Today on number 218, wow, it's Trekland Tuesdays Live with the new logo. Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you right here through Portal 47 from the heart of Trekland, right here at Trekland HQ, for some clarity, sanity, and the big picture in everything Star Trek for yet again another Tuesday. Hey, I'm welcoming everybody, our regular TTL gang from Tuesdays, and all of you newcomers. We're so glad to have you here. A quick shout out to all the Patreon folks who get me to you. Alex Kurtzman. Yes. Gene Roddenberry. The stolen Star Trek art. This hasn't got big play. Oh, should I mention that I'm not talking about one big story here. I'm talking about 3 different things. Yes, you're getting a 3 for this week. I went from nothing to talk about to cramming everything in. There's a lot of things flying under the radar that deserve to be heard. And hey, it wouldn't be not the same-o if I wasn't doing something a little different. Glad to see everybody. I want to talk about this today. For one thing, something that did not fly under the radar, you probably saw, because yes, the real world, the non-toxic tube world, is reading headlines about, good on him. Alex Kurtzman just signed another extension, a 5-year extension of his deal with CBS/Paramount Plus / whatever it is. He's working on some other projects besides Star Trek. Everybody's picking this up. I was captivated by the no less than New York Times piece on them. So congratulations, Alex, on this great piece, because it's interweaving, and why it caught my eye was they're interweaving it with the fortunes of Paramount Plus being late to the game, although CBS All Access was actually one of the first content makers to jump in. They had just recycling their old content, but the first ones to have original programming, right, was Discovery and that other show. They announced 4 or 5 series at first, which was supposed to be anchored and led off by Discovery, but then we had the worst Star Trek birthing process in history and let Christine Baranski's show out of the gate first. But the point is, he's been with them there step by step. And Star Trek, despite what you hear everywhere else, Star Trek has been the anchor for CBS. And now the remerged CBS and Paramount, it's been their anchor for getting into the stream business, even as the pie is got so many more slices to it of what people are watching online. But in the midst of all that scramble and this revolution in media, in this revolution of the small screen, does that even make sense anymore with micro theaters and plasma screens at home? In the middle of all that, Alex is really a pivotal person. But I think, and these articles, this interview, actually it wasn't in the Times. The Times is picking it up elsewhere, but these interviews are confirming a lot of things. For one thing, Paramount Plus has 36 million subscribers as of May. That's combined with Showtime. That's trailing a lot of the other ones. Netflix has almost 200 million. Disney Plus has 104 million. NBC Universal, thanks to the Olympic push, has 54 million. So, they've got a hill to climb. And will there be more mergers and shakeouts? And will even the brands of Paramount get lost again? That's interesting to see. But right now, he's top man on mountain. Right now, he is peak producer. Hashtag peak producer. They're pointing to the Star Trek empire, which is growing smartly, despite what a lot of fans, I won't say stuck in the 90s, but with the 90s perspective. You always start out fighting the new war the way the last one ended, and it always bites you in the butt. The bullets we're firing here are viewers and content, as much as I hate that word. Entertainment, I would prefer to say. But look at all the shows that have rolled out. These articles have been really instrumental about the attitude here. They've obviously re-upped their confidence. CBS and Paramount have re-upped their confidence in Alex. And what set this out is that he has hired other people, set them up, and got them started. What's separating, a couple of things are separating us up from our last big Uber king, say Rick Berman, the Berman era. One then, that we didn't have this landscape. We didn't have this paradigm now where you could have 10 episode seasons, 12 episode seasons, overlap it, have streaming so that you're not living and dying by Nielsen ratings, so that you're not living and dying on the fact that you're on a crappy little network versus a big one and you're always being compared. Yes, Ultimately, Paramount Plus is looking at the numbers for Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu or whatever. But it's a wild, wild west here, new. And there was cable was new, and then the small channels were new, but they never quite turned the corner to where the Star Treks on, say, UPN had their own due. They never got respect for Next Generation and DS9 being leaders in the syndicated world, because that quickly saturated and things pivoted so fast to cable channels, right? And then the premium channels, and then the streaming channels. So things have been moving so quickly. That's part of what they praise Alex for, is being adept at all this. Plus he's produced feature films, plus old school brick and mortar TV. I think the biggest strength of Alex is finding people. Eventually, it took a while, but finding people after the initial Discovery deal was done, but looking and finding people now that we're getting on down the iteration to Lower Decks, to Prodigy, and branching out into animation, which is part of the buffet in another room, but also finding people and letting them run their shows, obviously in consultation, obviously with consultants, obviously with the big think tank behind them. And I think that was, as much as I want to say it, it's part of the model of the time, but that was Rick's issue. I think if Rick had gone and Dick Wolfed things, kept his name on the shingle, set things up, and been there, obviously consulting in, and not tried to be part of it, was it's a 26 episode world. Star Trek was revolutionary to have 2 overlapping series and movies. Take that, Marvel. How would you push that envelope? We were worried about divided audiences, even with DS9 and Voyager on the air at the same time. And the secret was shorter seasons, as much as I hate to say it, and not overlapping. We're going to get all kinds of tastes now, as long as we keep our courses short. Another tortured metaphor. But it is a different world. And Alex has risen to it. And a lot of people don't like what he's done. That's it. But part of that is looking what's happening in the world of media. And also it's a complicated machine, and looking at the evolution of shows, even Discovery from season 1 to season 2, which was really the first time they got to catch a breath, to season 3. Now we will see what season 4 brings. But Picard started so much more smoothly than Discovery did. The revolution of modern animation in not one but 2 flavors we're about to see. And then what has live action learned as we launch Strange New Worlds, including what has live action learned by not launching Section 31 first, but responding to the natural flow of things. That's being light and nimble and agile on your feet, having good people. It's also about having stability upstairs. And we've seen a little bit of turnover at CBS. We've seen all the shuffling, upstairs with the remerger. We'll just see what all that brings us. But for right now, I think, yeah, he's been able to produce not just Star Trek eyes, but do the business of producing, hiring up staffs, hiring people who can hire below them. And yes, all kinds of things I would have done differently. But for the most part, it's pretty complicated. It's like when you sit down and you start comparing brain surgeons, and I'm not comparing this to life and death situations, but when you've got highly skilled positions and you look at what 8 different people do in those highly skilled positions, there's always room for choice and all that. But then you think about the other 99.2 billion people who couldn't be in the same room with those 10 people. And there you go. You also look at the adjoining rooms where the up-and-comers are coming along and developing those skills and talents too. So all this attention on the contract and on that, and most of all, Alex is in a comfort zone here where he's throwing these wacky crumbs, and I barely saw any reaction. Maybe I've been in my cave. Maybe we've been dealing with the world in my face here, coming up with Vegas and the COVID pandemic and all of that, and some growth we're trying to do here at Trekland. But the Wharf Comedy that was pitched by Graham Wagner, he of Portlandia, he of Silicon Valley, and he of The Trouble with Edward. But it's still a comedy that Alex called incredibly funny, poignant, and touching. So we'll see that blend. But would he mention that if it wasn't in the bullpen? Would he mention that if it was just to show an extreme crazy thing they're thinking about? I don't know. We'll see. He also very pointedly not only re-mentioned Section 31 has not gone away, but he re-mentioned the Starfleet Academy show and specifically said it was skewing younger, not maybe I took it like not, we always say Academy 90210, but maybe not even like glitzy, foxy, Beverly Hills 90210, that era. Maybe even still a little younger skewing than that. But Samantha Savage, who has all the great credits behind her, was initially mentioned as the producer with her partner way back at the beginning, not by CBS or CBS All Access or whatever the hell it was then, but by the trades who do not drop names lightly. So the buzz underground, not attributed to sources, but out there, was that it was Stephanie Savage's company. And that was 2017, 2016. So yeah, talk about long time stewing. And to see where this adventure goes and to know that they fully intend to have more Star Treks coming, but of a different flavor. This really got me, this one quote from Alex. If it were up to me only, I would be pushing the boundaries much further than I think most people would want. I think we might get there. Marvel has actually proven that you can. But you have to build a certain foundation to get there, and we're still building our foundation. And I would say, and then I saw that my friend Ryan Brick stole my idea before I could say it, is that, again, we go back to this. STO has proven this. I know there's, I want to say 100 years of Marvel characters. Not that, 50, 60 years, but there is just as much Star Trek, and it's been on screen, even if it was a drop of a line, even if it was a name drop and a mention. Another reason why canon is so important. A canon does nothing else but start by cataloging everything and then correlating it to each other, giving you the source moment in episode. That's the root reason we have canon, and to correlate things and try not to make an error. But if you do an error, yeah, you do texture, not trivia. You do it for a reason. It's like anything else. You know the rules, and then you know how to break them. You know where the 2-lane highway is and the ground it's on before you go paving that 4-lane highway. Yeah, all the old things we talk about, but they're talking about pushing that. You know what? Thank you, Marvel, for say WandaVision. Okay? I actually watched WandaVision. And it wasn't until the 8th or 9th episode I said, they're getting comic booky. There's everybody flying around, zapping everybody with their laser eyes. But up until then, and it was enough of a build-up that even I stayed for the ending, of course, by then. But look at the revolution of approach that WandaVision took. That's what's there. My point is that Star Trek, the universe of the last 55 years, big and small, has much more to play with. That's what I said about massive role-play games. Look at STO and building out its own continuity into the future, which will probably be vindicated by the time we get to those years. But hey, for 20 or 30 years, people are going to enjoy it, just like pocketbooks, just like the comics. It's cool. It's fine. They're just doing an awesome job of tending to their own inner continuity and with everything as it evolves. And yeah, they've had to change things, and that's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast. But all that to say that all this press that Alex has had, and I still see the nattering nabobs of negativism, thank you, Spiro Agnew, popping up here and there to yak about it. So yeah, let's just joke and say, yay, a 5-year contract, 5 more years of firings and rehirings. But the truth is, that's what's going on. And if people were weirded out by animation or by comedy, and now we're over that, well, sounds like you ain't seen nothing yet. And I'm excited. I am excited. I just say, can we just please have a Romulan war? Can we please have some Tellarites and some of the other major, unmajor characters? Can we please go to some unexplored corners of the Trek timeline and universe before we start rebooting characters that we already know? Can we just boldly go where no Trek series has gone before? Can we just please do that? It sounds like that's what their eye is on, even if it is a Graham Wagner Wharf series. I know I had 3 things. in the title. That's the Alex third. Okay, it's more like 3/4. What I also wanted to mention, though, still hot off the press, is Gene, yes, as in Gene Roddenberry. This is Gene Roddenberry's centennial year, right? Hashtag ThinkGeek. I mentioned it lately. The COVID, the pandemic, the lockdowns have kind of blown up having live events. There's supposed to be something still at Vegas happening. A couple of announcements are going to be exciting. Mainly it's shifted online. You can go to roddenberry.com, read about the hashtag ThinkGeek campaign, but something has just been announced, and it's only for 20 days. Gene's birthday, his 100th anniversary birthday, is August 19th. And this is just something that's just been by roddenberry.co and ShopStands.com. ShopStands.com allows people to have stores, like on demand, like we have TeePublic now, but ShopStands ties it into charities, to social, whatever benefit organization you want to be tied into. And Roddenberry has teamed up with ShopStands to benefit the 350 organization, which is fighting for global climate change and justice and to change us into a greener future to save the earth. 350, and also the Trevor Project, which is jumping in on emergency basis and on a long-term basis to support the LGBTQ community. Those were two benefit places chosen. This has just broken. It is just up, and it is barely going to be up until it's only 20 days right now. I can give you you can go to roddenberry.com and get the link. It is shopstands.com/collections/Gene-Roddenberry-Centennial-collection. These are shirts. You can see it's the Unity. If you've ever seen the Unity logo, the one that's made up of Star Trek props and logos and things. But Unity is featured on. You can get challenge coins and pins that have Gene quotes on them. Some of the things you've been hearing and seeing this year with the actors doing Gene quotes. So that's only up for 20 days. The share that goes to Roddenberry is going to those two foundations, but it's very limited time. It's only good for 20 days. They have shirts, socks, buttons, all the normal things you can get on demand now. Some really quirky things. There are these the ship socks. Okay, that's one thing that's not the Unity logo, and some things aren't, with like the pins and things. This is just one panel. There's 4 different panels and categories you can go to, okay? I've been really high and really excited on our own Trekland TeePublic store, but this is a short-termer that's coming up. And I'm sure if you're going to Vegas, there'll be some word and announcement about that too, or you'll be seeing that come out. That's the Gene part of the show. The other part is I really debated even doing just a whole segment today on this, because I'm betting you really did not hear about the stolen Star Trek art from Racine, Wisconsin. And here's the deal. This is in the Racine Journal-Times. Public art projects partners find their Star Wars and Star Trek art piece stolen. So I'm stretching things a little bit. Here is the link. I will give you the link to this one. I can give you the link to now that I think about it, I can probably put the link in for the Centennial collection too. And here we go, boom. But this thing about the stolen art, apparently the Downtown Trade Association in Racine, the Downtown Racine Corporations, they have an annual public art project. They get local artists to do an installation of art by some theme. They've been doing it since 2007. So this year, their theme was about designing a bistro table and chair set. And I'm not going to try to show you the camera, but basically they had a little bistro table. It's for the sidewalk, right? And I don't know, there are 20 entries or whatever. This year, these 2 entrants, Amy Georgie and Pamela Vallejos, did a part Star Wars chair and half table with ceramic tile on the top, hand painted, and a half Star Trek chair and table. And they've been up since the end of May. They're in downtown Racine. And sometime in the last couple of weeks, the 2 artists realized that their table and chairs were gone. The Downtown Racine group has been doing this since 2007. They have never, ever had anything stolen before. They put these outdoor art pieces of whatever type out. This year it was table and chairs. Maybe they should go back to granite boulders. I don't know. But so this just this was these two women, two artists, their first art project working together, and then they auction them off at the end of the year. So they have about 12 to 15 pieces that are auctioned off. They they go for the company. Sometimes they go for as high as $750. So, and all the money goes back to this nonprofit, downtown boosters. So sometime since the 4th of July, someone stole the Star Wars and Star Trek table and chairs from downtown. They put out $100 reward. They hope it turns up again. And they put out the reward money will go to the donation fund, that they come from the auction from the nonprofit. If no one ever turns the chairs back, what would you do with that? Did somebody driving through town snatch it and go off? Or is somebody in Racine and suburbs sitting on a hot Star Wars, Star Trek table and chair set? Little outdoor thing for the back deck. What risk do you have if you get it out of the basement? Put it out on your back porch, even with a high hedge, and somebody who saw this story comes along and says, it was you. You're the one. It's like that backhanded compliment. On one hand, it was so big that after, 14 years, the thing that is finally stolen from the outdoor art installation show is Star Trek, Star Wars. Is that a compliment? I don't know. It's sad. It's bizarre. It's weird. This little piece of, hometown, home city Americana that goes like, anyway, thank you to, Google News Words. This is the kind of googie Star Trek story. Star Wars can piggyback along on this one. I don't care. It's the kind of googie Star Trek story that I love from out in the, out across the country. It's outside New York and LA. It's outside celebrity and actors. It's real armchair fandom. Armchair fandom gone a little wrong, but not because of the fans, because of the outside world reacting, or did it? I don't know. I was so intrigued by that, gang. I don't know if anybody else saw that. I just wanted to bring that up. Let's see what everybody's saying in the chat. Did I stir anything up there? Did I stir anything up about Alex? I gotta say, first of all, thanks to all of our existing Patreon folks, our TTLers, and our live wires. Thank you so much. Thank you a ton. I keep my Patreon simple. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it's, mine is very $5 and $10 centric simple. That's what it is. Patreon's a way to help creatives and all kinds of people producing all kinds of things. Subscribing or by project, patreon.com/Trekland Live is my Patreon. I keep it simple. It's a shout out. And when I say that, I mean, thank you, Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Blake Arledge, Justin Porteous, and Nathaniel Robinson. And thanks to our live wires, Rusty Harrell, Halbjord Gunn Johnson, Jalen Bullock, Gary Williams, Jared Cooper, Mr. Vestek, Robert McLean, and Casey Shafsky. Speaking of next week, next Trekland Tuesdays live, due to Trek Vegas travel. Haven't done this in over 2 years, it feels like, but next week is going to be Trekland Monday, just a day earlier next week, because we will hopefully, Kalis Willen and the creek don't rise too high, we will be on our way to Trek Vegas right now, and we'll see what that bold new adventure will be like. And we'll be talking about that next week. One other thing I want to mention, our friend Michael Braveheart, who was Ensign Martinez, Nurse Martinez for actually Dr. Pulaski first, and then Dr. Crusher, all the way through the events of First Contact, is not in a good way and has a GoFundMe up, pretty humble, of $5,000. He's had a downturn here in just money needs. He hasn't been able to get to his doctors. He's back in LA now from New York and scrambling for ways to get through. Anyway, if you want to check it out on GoFundMe, it's the Friends of Michael Braveheart. You saw him every week silently standing there helping Dr. Crusher. He taught acting in the meantime until the COVID time and some other aggravated health events. You can go read. He's had a little turn for the worse here. And he's worrying, like millions of others right now, about COVID evictions. I'm throwing that out there as a help from Michael. You might want to help spread the word, spread the boost when you see it around on the Trek Twitters and Trek Social too. We've talked about it before, but not in a while. So Another good idea for you. So many good ideas out there, those who can help out for so many cases and causes. I hope you can. Hey, except to say that, yes, we will be back for Mission Log. Not my show. Mission Log will be back too, but I'm going to tell you about Life Support Live coming up on Saturdays. It's always there posted on YouTube and Facebook on my world too, but we're live. We love to have you join the lifers, and Dr. Ali and I go boldly through uncertain times. That's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK, and 7 Central Europe. So we'd love to have you join us if you can. We're working. We'd love to have you on the Facebook page too. And of course, being a Tuesday, we've had the Trek Files. A new Trek Files is posted with the great Stephen Lance back with us, who was the go-to MC of the earliest East Coast Trek cons. He has so many stories and insights. He wound up being, thanks to Jimmy Doohan, invited to be a Rec Deck member. That was last week's episode. This week, we focus on his trials and tribulations of those early days and kind of the wild west of the Eastern early day Star Trek cons. It's kind of funny, some of the politics and turf building going on, and of course, some celebrity stories too. He's great. It's great. He's working on a book. It's not out yet, so he's sharing stuff before he writes the book. Over at Trek Files, you know to go to Trek Files on our Facebook hub, where we actually have the digital paper. The digital files are there, but you can get it at all the podcasting places and podcast.roddenberry.com. And oh, look, it's a computer bag for Trek Files. Yeah, that's at our store at TeePublic too. I know. A lot of stores to keep up with. If you just want some cool stuff, we've added some new things since we were first there. There are sales from time to time. If you're watching on YouTube right now, that's my Twitter. I'd love to have you there too. If you're watching on Facebook, Larry Nemecek's Trekland, come over to the Instagram. We're about to hopefully do some fun, cool things with my Instagram popping up too, okay? Portal47.net, of course, is where you can have the mini-con with the Portales all year long. It's my second generation business, Portal47.net. It is like a mini-con all year long. That's going to do it for us. If you are leaving me right now on YouTube because you're watching later, I'll just say, stay safe out there. Do all the things, okay? Stay woke. Check your sources when you're reading, writing, coming across it. You might even check their account, see if they're a troll, okay? Most of all, trek well, everybody.